Is Street Fighter 6 a random game? This debate is raging through the community after shocking events occurred over the past weekend in this major tournament. Let me explain. Of course, I'm talking about the day 2 of the Esports World Cup for Street Fighter 6 taking place right now in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where players from all over the world across all the esports titles are competing for, millions of dollars, sponsored by the Saudi Arabian government. So, like I mentioned before, do your own research. But Street Fighter 6 is the main draw for this channel. So yesterday we covered the day 1 recap, and now we're doing day 2 where the groups carry on. But day 1 was already filled with lots of big events as Punk the God, the EVO 2024 champion, fresh off his EVO win, was eliminated 0-2 in the first phase of groups, didn't make it out of his groups. And also, MenaRD, one of the most consistent players in Street Fighter 6, the 2-time Capcom Cup champion, the EVO 2024 EVO Japan champion, was also eliminated in group stages as well. And you can see here the rest of the names eliminated from day 1: Punk and Zangief, NL, Phenom, Rainpro, MenaRD, Lex, and Jen. World-class talent from all over the planet who didn't make it out of the groups, but that's just how it goes. We have 32 of the best players on the planet who qualified from all over the world in grueling qualifying events. So world-class players qualify, world-class players have to be eliminated. But moving on from day 1 from that group was Gachikun, Ryukichi, Angry Bird, Problem X, Noah the Prodigy, Kakadu, Xiaohai, and Dual Kevin. But now we have the second half of group phase 1 with groups E, F, G, H. Group E featuring players like, Chris Wong, the runner-up to Capcom Cup 2023, people like Kawano, the EVO 2022 final Street Fighter 5 EVO champion, and top 8 at Capcom Cup as well for Street Fighter 6. Tokido, the murder face, one of the most consistent players of all time, multiple-time EVO champion. And Bigbird, the runner-up to EVO 2024, who got second to Punk for Street Fighter 6. So lots of big names in this group as well. And let's go ahead and get on into the action with Group E, featuring VX Bao, one of the most consistent players out of China, multiple-time Capcom Cup qualifier, always doing work in that region and on the world stage. Chris Wong, like I mentioned, the runner-up to Capcom Cup, losing to Uma in the grand finals. Kind of airbrushed him kind of hard here. Looks got a little bit of a baby face going on. I don't know what they did to this picture, but he's looking young and fabulous. Hikaru, 19 years old, out of Japan, rocking Aki, the only Aki qualifier in this tournament, who has a really aggressive, electrifying style. And honestly, it sounds weird to say, but some parallels to Noah the Prodigy, who I covered in the last video, you can see in the gameplay coming up. And DCQ, also out of China, one of the most consistent players, consistently placing in Street Fighter League, Capcom Cup, found his way into this qualification spot as well. So first match on the table here, I really want to highlight Hikaru's play. This is him going up against DCQ, Aki versus JP, and take a look at this offensive sequence here. Drive rush, halts his momentum into the Serpent Lash to get the whiff punish counter knockdown. Here he goes with the drive rush pressure, air-to-air recognition to get the full conversion with the poison puddle on to get the maximum damage here. Corner pressure, safe strings right there, maintains the corner control, blocks the offensive push from DCQ, gets the whiff jump in the scramble, gets the back throw here, approaches drive rush overhead. The delay overhead makes it so much sneakier to be able to block, gets the conversion into the level 3, and that spells the defeat for DCQ as Hikaru moves on in winner side on the first group match. But really, this sequence was nuts. So I really love this moment right here. Aki's drive rush is extremely powerful. So one of the main tools she has is both fireball into drive rush and just raw drive rush in general. But the counter to drive rush is to try to react with a button. So what does Hikaru do here? He presents the green drive rush, halts his momentum, stops. DCQ tries to press a button, predicting forward movement here to check any kind of forward drive rush into button. And this is a common technique I see Hikaru use. Stop, and then immediate Serpent Lash, gets the whiff punish, just halting his momentum and punishing your check for his movement. And he just moves way faster than any other Aki you see. And then I really love this chase down here. The jump cross up from Aki is extremely strong. So at this range, he would be able to go for the jump down fierce, which does the cross up stab hands. It hits at a very sharp, shallow angle, which allows you to punish people doing throw techs with jumps in ways that other characters really can't. But he's also not just autopiloting the sequence, he's reacting. So he sees in this moment, instead of defaulting to the cross-up button he was going to press originally to bait the throw, he sees that DCQ goes for the jump air-to-air, and air-to-airs him first with, I believe, that's jump medium punch from Aki, which forces a juggle state here. And he's not only ready for the air-to-air, he's ready to convert it gets the poison proc heavy serpent last year and the juggle follow-up. Just really pristine gameplay right here from Hikaru, playing at 1,000,000 miles per hour, but also in full control, not losing control of the road here, not losing traction by going too fast. Really great stuff from him. And then here we have VX Bao versus Chris Wong on the other side of the bracket. Chris Wong, Luke has received some pretty significant nerfs. In fact, the only, I would say, dedicated Luke main in this entire bracket who hasn't switched off or added a secondary is Noah the Prodigy, right? He got out in winner's side of his group. But Chris Wong has been rocking Akuma. Here he is 2-1 up against VX Bao. Finding the sequence here. Goes for the teleport. Didn't land. Went for the grab right there. Lands a jump in. Overhead connects. And look at this conversion. Oh my god. When Bison has the bomb on you and you eat an overhead or some kind of conversion to OD Psycho Crusher and he is level 3, this is not just big damage on Akuma. This is just big damage on everybody. Huge damage. That was a 2-touch, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Just the one jump punish on the command grab. Bomb planted. Yeah. That is basically the highlight reel from Bison. So much damage on any character in the game, but I think specifically a 2-touch sequence on Akuma. So, Chris Wong not going down without a fight. He actually switches over here to the Luke here for the final game. So, in this, he brings out the old faithful main. He doesn't want to be eliminated here. And gets the Luke out. Defends against the overhead. Final game, final round between these two competitors. Perfect parry. That's classic Chris Wong. He was probably one of the best parriers in the game. Demonstrated his ability to perfect parry extensively in Capcom Cup. And here we have him. I think I misspoke earlier. This is actually the loser's run back. VX Bao put Chris Wong in losers. This is the loser's run back. So he swapped off the Akuma to the Luke this time to close it out. And look how hype production team is right here. I don't know why they cut to this guy. A little bit of flub on production. This guy's loving the perfect parry action. And Chris Wong gets his run back against VX Bao and stays in the group stage and manages to make it out. Because, yeah, as you see here, the results, Hikaru 2-0 in this group, 3-1 over DCQ, and then also 3-1 over VX Bao. Chris Wong dropped 1-3 in the first set against VX Bao, so I misspoke earlier. We were looking at the second set, not the winner's set. Chris Wong went on to eliminate DCQ and then on to eliminate VX Bao. And Hikaru and Chris Wong survive this group and go on to phase 2. And the way this group stage works, like I mentioned in the last video, as long as you get out, even if you got out on the loser side, you're the lower seed, but it resets to winners for day 2. So we essentially just want to survive this mini 4-man tournament as the day goes on. So now we have group, what is this? G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Sorry, I don't know my alphabet. Group F, second group of the day. Kawano, the EVO 2022 Street Fighter 5 champion. Oil King, consistent competitor. EVO Japan champion, the final EVO Japan champion for Street Fighter 5. One of the most consistent Street Fighter players in the modern era. And Nephew, freshly off quitting his job at Google to become a full-time competitor in NA. He had a 9th place finish at EVO 2024. Really strong finish. It's qualified for the Esports World Cup out of his performance at CEO. And then we have Tachikawa, a longtime Street Fighter competitor who also went to DBFZ for quite some time, was a top DBFZ competitor, back to Street Fighter 6, and is now using mostly Modern Ed. So the only person using Modern at all in this entire tournament is Tachikawa. And then we have the matches here. So Oil King initially drops 2-3 to Tachikawa. Kawano 3-1, strong performance over Nephew. Kawano then goes on to beat Tachikawa to get out on the winner's side. And Nephew eliminates Oil King 3-1, because really this is just the highlights of the matches. I want to highlight especially the final match of this group, which is probably the most exciting match, the most dramatic match of the entire tournament. I'm going to call it now. Tachikawa versus Nephew in the losers finals of Group F. So why is this match so dramatic? Well, starting things off, Tachikawa takes a solid 2-0 lead over Nephew. He's looking in full control using Modern Ed, gets the crumple right there with the medium flicker. Modern DPs allow faster reactions. Ed's DP is rather slow, but Modern helps speed that up. The main advantage to using Ed in Modern, I would say, is the horizontal invincible level 3 to potentially react to things with one button. And also, Ed's DP, while good in allowing combo conversions, it's a slower DP, so it can sometimes be a little difficult to anti with classic controls. Modern helps smooth that out and allows you to get more optimal combo conversions from early DPs by reacting a little bit faster. So here, Tachikawa finds the clean DP, controls the offensive pressure here, Gets a drive rush jab. Optimal conversion, by the way. Little subtle detail. He knows drive rush jab counter hit will combo to stand fierce. Just a minor optimization right there. Really good awareness from Tachikawa. Closes out the round and finds himself at set point to eliminate Nephew and move on out of the group stages. And here we have Nephew gets the next round. So we're at final round of this game. Tachikawa fighting to eliminate Nephew. Nephew fighting to stay alive. Parries the charge flicker, but gets the plus frames to Tachikawa. He's getting throw looped in the corner. Nephew, what are you going to do? With your tournament life on the line in the Esports World Cup, Nephew wakes up with the level 3. Fighting to stay alive here, but he still has a ways to go that just evens up the life. Modern DP makes the jump game really difficult to apply against Tachikawa right there. Charge flicker gives Tachikawa another throw. Throw loops again. What are you going to do this time? Finds the low forward on the backdash, doesn't whiff throw, gets his own throw in return, and then wiggles his way in for the overhead. Nephew, clutching it up, stays alive, brings this to a 2-1 to fight his opponent here to not be eliminated from the tournament. As we proceed, we find Tachikawa at another set point. Nephew with a round as well. Finds the low forward, eats the ODDP. What a weird interaction here. Gets a trade, and then wake up level 3. He went for a throw. The weird trade crumple and the fierce prevented Tachikawa from getting a crumple combo right there. And then just immediate wake up level 3 again. Tachikawa near burnout right here. Tries to bait the wake up DP. Tachikawa responds with Abare wake up buttons. Doesn't get the conversion on the towards fierce punish counter. He definitely could have comboed from that. But instead, Nephew finds the offensive push. And once again, fights off elimination point to tie up the set to 2-2. Nephew is working on making a potential 3-0 comeback after being down 2-0. And it all leads up to this moment, which I believe is best watched in slow-mo to really grasp the gravity of the situation. Nephew has his first lead of the set finally, up around in the final game on set point over Tachikawa, who was originally on set point twice over Nephew. And here we have this moment here. So, Nephew fighting out of the corner here, tries to escape the situation. Tachikawa doesn't get the proper confirm. He gets the crushing heavy kick into the snatcher. Nephew finds the tick throw backwards, controlling the corner space Izzy right now. And then here we have the final offensive sequence. Dash in to nothing. Drive rush. Tachikawa, modern reactions, baby. He had level 3 on deck. You cannot just blindly drive rush at him. He's too ready with the reactions. The one button supers help in this scenario. It's a different change in the meta compared to what you have with Classic, right? The reactions are too sharp. But what does Nephew do in response? He hadn't committed to an offensive action yet, which means he can cancel to his own level 3 in return to use the invincibility to go through Tachikawa's super. He was really smart to not commit to like a drive rush jab or anything, to wait for Tachikawa to bait out his super and react with his own super in kind. And therefore, with this final level 3 connecting, Nephew is going to go ahead and take the little bit of life remaining off Tachikawa's life bar, close out the round 2-0 in this game, and win this set 3-2. And Tachikawa gets up from his seat, accepting defeat after being so close to closing out the set. Is what would have happened if we lived in a universe other than our own. Because if we rewind it back a little bit and take a look at these final interactions, the unthinkable occurred. Somehow, Ed's super wins. Traditionally, if someone does an invincible super, the second super in reaction wins. This is just like basic Street Fighter 101. Usually the second super will have more invincibility because it activated later and will go through the first super and end up winning in that interaction. This is what everyone assumed in this moment, including Tachikawa. Tachikawa takes off the headphones. He stands up. He starts to walk away. He believes that he already lost the set. There's still a round in the game. He quickly sits down. He realizes the situation here. F-Word claiming he thought he won. James Chen claiming he thought he lost. Even the commentators don't really understand which way this is going. Tachikawa, he does later confirm that he did indeed thought he lost the interaction. And with the purple of the Super Clash, they're both purple level 3s. He saw in his peripheral that the purple occurred. He thought he was done. He got up to congratulate Nephew and accept his defeat. Once he realized that he still is in the game and won that round, he quickly tries to sit back down and proceed to play. And how does this final round go? Well, he's actually putting up a good fight, not frazzled from that ordeal. Nephew finds a drive rush overhead, but puts himself in burnout in the process. Baits the DP, but drops the combo and the response DI. Nephew had no super meter to absorb it. His pressure was interrupted with the punish counter. Finds the level 2 conversion. Nephew has no dry meter. He's in a burnout situation, and he's trying to avoid the chip from the fireball. Jumps preemptively. He was going to be put into chip regardless. Even if he blocked this fireball, a walk-up ODDP behind it would have put him into a chip-out situation. And Tachikawa pops off after he already believed that he lost. He can't even believe that he won this situation. And I can't believe how this tournament went down. And I mean, look at the way this happened here. This is so unfortunate for Nephew. He baits out the DP right here because, you know, modern reactions. He tries to squeeze out that DP after whiffing the throw, but Ed's DP is slower. Maybe a Shoto DP would have worked in this scenario. Ed's DP is too slow. He blocks the DP. This is negative 13 on block. Nephew does immediate medium punch. You get a combo. Punish counter. But it's slightly out of range with the crouching medium. Maybe he could have gone for crouching medium kick, I believe. I'm not sure what the combo routes would be. He has a store on deck. Maybe the optimal damage would have been stand medium to crouch medium. He could have even had walked forward for a few frames to get closer to get the full punish to do this crouching medium. But he just miscalculated in the heat of the moment. Tries to get his turn back with this heavy kick into store. But immediate DI from Tachikawa. No super meter on Nephew's side. Once he had committed to doing a button, DI was going to work regardless. That was a great option there from Tachikawa in the situation. So poor Nephew somehow loses the super interaction, somehow drops in the scramble the DP punish, and ends up losing this set 3-2 to Tachikawa. It's later confirmed by Hi-Fight. He translates this tweet here, doesn't have the exact translation, but Tachikawa confirmed that he's standing up because he thought that he had lost. Tachikawa literally thought he lost the situation. I thought he lost the situation. I had to rewatch that moment live. I was so confused what was going on. And here James Chen has some details with the data behind the interaction. Jury level 3, fully invul frames 1 through 13. Ed level 3, fully invul frames 1 through 14. Wow. So I don't know the exact science behind this. I haven't broken this down exactly how, if there's a frame delay when one person does a super right after the other. But essentially, this one extra frame of invulnerability on Ed's level 3 caused it to win that interaction where they both clash at nearly the same time. When 99% of the time, the second level 3 will always win. Ed's level 3 won this interaction against all odds, which was an amazing fate from Nephew. If he had manually delayed the level 3 a frame or two, he would have won that set and still been in the Esports World Cup. But instead, he's eliminated. And Tachikawa is moving on as the second seed in the group. Kawano as the first seed. Kawano dominating his bracket with his Akuma looking unstoppable. And Nephew and Oil King are eliminated. Wow. Moving on to the next group. Tokido, the murder phrase legendary. He's looking kind of friendly. Not looking like the murder face right here. Looks pretty friendly in this photo. Knuckle Dude Dang representing the US of A as well. Leshar with his very unique controller. He has this weird, instead of a hitbox, it's just basically a keyboard ripped out and installed into an arcade stick with Chun-Li on there. He's been rocking that since we saw him using this at Capcom Cup and Red Bull Kumite. No longer playing Chun-Li though. Pretty much dedicated Ed main and OG Bonchan right there with the arcade stick. And I love how he has the obsidian with the the flap here, which is where the compartment where you can put the cable for the stick in is missing. If you've ever used an obsidian, like this is the part of this compartment, the lid, it always snaps off. So I really relate to that on Bonchan because I have a bunch of obsidians myself. But getting to the matches, we have Knuckle Do versus Tokido. This was a super close set, 2-2, and Knuckle Do here up around on set point over Tokido when the unthinkable occurs. Tokido with the pressure in the corner, finds the meaty, and PlayStation 5 strikes again. The player is trying to figure out what's going on, get some word from the TOs here. But of course, if you take a look here, what happened, it's the classic PS5 issue of having a screenshot button pop up. So people were speculating over what was going on. They don't think it's another pad that caused this issue, but rather maybe Knuckle Do accidentally hit a button to cause a screenshot. PlayStation, there's so many ways for PS5 issues to cause interrupts and pauses in the tournament. Now, most likely, I'm not a Ken player. I tried to test this out in training mode. I believe, Tokido had 0. He had 1 super bar. So he was going to build 1-bar super with this combo conversion starting from a meaty jab, and he had potential drive meter to do 2 OD moves or 2 drive rush cancels. So I think most likely he would have been able to kill, but it might have been with a pixel remaining with a level 1 finisher. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe a Ken player can help confirm or deny that. But either way, if NuckleDu had a pixel, he potentially could have made a comeback. And either way, even if he died, he wouldn't have been iced in his momentum here. What happened here is they had to pause the game and allow the timer to run out to give Tokido the round because the issue was on NuckleDu's end. So therefore, it became a final game, final round situation with a timeout. And then as the round went on, we have a pretty equal life situation. Tokido in burnout as well as NuckleDu, but Tokido about to come out of burnout and with a meter advantage here, finds the counter hit to the Jinrai, puts NuckleDu into the corner. No reaction with the level 1 to counter the DI while on burnout, and Tokido completes the combo into the level 3, and there you can see NuckleDu, head in his hands, is put down to the losers of his group. So a really unfortunate way for Dude to go out there into losers. A very close set, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. He'll be able to fight on in the rest of the group stages. Meanwhile, on the winner side, Leshar took out Bonchan in pretty dominating fashion 3-1. And here I want to highlight Leshar versus Tokido and why Leshar, along with Angry Bird, might be my favorite to take this whole event right here. The Leshar is up 2-0 on Tokido. He's down to like the last 10% of his life. And I want you to watch this sequence. Eats the heavy kick. Drive rush cancel. ODDP through the DI attempt because he didn't have enough life to absorb with the counter DI. Checks the run with the crashing meter kick into the level 2. The full conversion, optimal meter build, optimal damage with the closeout to take the round. This sequence was unreal to me. The amount of mental awareness and meter awareness to be able to pull off this conversion is ridiculous. So, once again, he's in the corner. He just ate the stand heavy kick. With this amount of life originally before the heavy kick connected, he's able to absorb a DI with his own DI to counter it and get the counter DI and the full combo conversion. Once he eats the stand heavy kick and has his sliver of life left, if he tries to counter a DI with his own, he will die. He does not have enough health to absorb the counter DI. So, in this situation, he's trying to find a way to build space out of the corner. So he uses, in this gap here, crouch heavy kick into drive rush cancel in order to move away from the corner a little bit and get some plus frames at the cost of 3 bars. Tokido happened to go for DI randomly at this point because he knows that if he interrupts any buttons, Leshar can't cancel into a DI in return, and it's just really hard for people to counter with this low amount of health. It's a very good way to try to close out rounds with people with too little health. Leshar, during the drive rush cancel, sees the DI, and instead of going for counter DI, which he just had enough health a few moments ago to go for, he reacts appropriately with ODDP to invincibly go through the DI. Being able to switch your mental stack from counter DI in this moment to a few seconds later, knowing that you can't use DI and to react on a dime with the ODDP is absurd. Then he plays a little bit of neutral here, parries through. Look at the drive meter situation as well. He's super low in drive meter, first of all. He has to avoid going to burnout because he'll get chipped. Parries the fireball, sees the run, interrupts before the step kick occurs with crouching medium kick, canceled into level 2 without putting himself in burnout, just one button to level 2 because that's the optimal conversion rather than doing a drive rush cancel, which would heavily scale the combo. If you did crouching medium kick into OD snatcher or crouching medium kick into drive rush, this combo would not have killed. He does raw crouching medium kick into level 2 with the optimal conversion towards heavy punch, drive rush, heavy kick, drive rush, heavy kick, charge snatcher, and then heavy blitz to finish it off. Amazing awareness. This is some of the best awareness I've ever seen in this game to cover all the options, optimally convert, and to get the round. Just unreal play there from Leshar. And as the set goes on, Tokido, he's not able to bounce back. He has a moment here, checks the drive rush with stand heavy punch from Leshar, facing, going into loser's bracket, but doesn't convert. He's a little bit too far out. He needed to do an alternate, less optimal conversion instead of the medium punch right there. And then look at how Leshar just walks underneath the jump in, finds the counter hit jab conversion, drive rush cancel all the way through, combo to the level 2, pushes to the corner, doesn't kill, heavily scaled on the drive rush conversion, but with the sauce on top, finds the jump back light kick to close out the set with Tokido, and he's looking pleased with himself. This little set closer is super powerful. I love using this myself because it basically baits out throw techs. You walk into range of the throw. Jump light kick does not hit crouchers, but it does hit standing opponents. So you walk in range to fake a throw, and rather than going for a throw yourself, which will just you reset to neutral, or doing a jump early, which is risky because they can just not throw tech and DP you. You walk real deep, jump back away. Tokido there, he's whiffing. I think it was a throw. He might have been trying stand light punch as well. This beats both those options, and then just clocks him there with the jump back light kick to close out the set. And in emphatic fashion, Leshar 3-0 over Tokido, marching out of this group stage as the #1 seed. Meanwhile, on loser's side, we have Bonchan versus NuckleDu, two dads. I think NuckleDu might be half Bonchan's age, but they're both they both have two kids, fathers of the FGC going at it. And here, I want to look at this situation. Bonchan, it's 2-2, final game between these two players, but Bonchan's on set point, NuckleDu facing elimination from the tournament. Bonchan gets hit with a punish counter fireball. Look at the drive meter situation for Bonchan. Less than a bar of drive meter to his name. So NuckleDu is trying to push the advantage right now with the projectiles in order to achieve the burnout. Sets up the Sonic Blade. Finds the punish counter through the Sonic Blade, but it leaves him with a pixel of drive meter to his name. And he has no super meter on his side to convert to a level 1 to force the burnout. Gets the combo conversion here. And Bonchan purposely eats this meaty projectile with a counter hit, because if he blocked this projectile, he would be put into burnout. He could attempt a perfect parry as well, but missing the perfect parry would also guarantee burnout. You're able to attempt a perfect parry, which is a 2-frame window to avoid burnout when you have less than half a bar drive meter, but if you miss, you're going into burnout. So Bonchan strategically chooses to mash here to get counter hit again in order to avoid the burnout in this situation. Gets counter hit. And then here he lands the perfect parry. He says another test, because even after getting counter hit, his drive meter starts to recover very slowly. He knows that now it's do or die. The projectile storm is incoming. This time he times it perfectly, waits for the boom, perfect parry on the boom, which allows him to keep his drive meter and restore it on the Sonic Boom Barrage. And look how much drive meter he has now, from nothing to nearly 2.5 bars. And if he was just a frame off in that perfect parry, he'd be in burnout versus NuckleDu, which could potentially spell a turnaround in this round. So amazing meter management, awareness, and defense there from Bonchan. And with that, he's able to play the game again, survive that situation, bulldogs his way in on NuckleDu. NuckleDu goes for the drive rush overhead, gets interrupted by the jab and the combo conversion, and Bonchan eliminates NuckleDu 3-2. Amazing defensive play there from Bonchan. And here we have Rob the Builder telling his brother there, NuckleDu, I tried, bro, as Bonchan is taking NuckleDu's medal to the hydraulic press. Rob tries to fight Bonchan to keep the medal. Rob says, damn, all right, I guess. And Bonchan loads up the medal in the hydraulic press, and he will crush NuckleDu's medal. If you didn't see the gimmick explained in the previous video, every player has a medal to their name when you eliminate them from the tournament. The player who performs the elimination gets to take your medal to the hydraulic press and crush it. Well, really just bend it a little bit. It has their name inscribed upon it, and that becomes part of the trophy later on that the winner will take home with all the medals from all the eliminated players included. So with that, Group G comes to a close. Leshar dominating this group 6-1, and Bonchan making out in losers, and Tokido and NuckleDu eliminated. And now we move on to the final group of the day, which features another stacked cast of characters here. Higuchi, the best Scala player out of Japan, who fought hard to get into this position to qualify. Pugera, one of the most consistent Japanese players for a long time towards the tail end of Street Fighter V, was a beast with V-Skill 2 Balrog in Street Fighter V, was dominant in Street Fighter 4 as well towards the end. It felt like he always kind of showed up at the end of every Street Fighter game's life cycle. Was a great Ibuki player at the end game of Street Fighter 4 as well. And now he's rocking the newly minted M. Bison, which is really fitting his playstyle. And Bigbird, the Evo runner-up right here. He switched over from Marissa to Rashid this season and found immediate success in winning DreamHack Sweden, as well as getting second place at Evo. And then Moke, one of the most consistent players for a very long time out of Japan. Probably around like top 5 player end season 1 with Chun-Li. He's been trying to stick with that character, even though she was decently nerfed in this patch. He's still like the last high-level dedicated Chun-Li main and trying to do work with that character in this tournament. And all eyes right now are on Bigbird. Just like Mena and Punk in the day before, here we have the talent predictions. Most of these predictions include, well, all of them included at least Punk. And most of them include Bigbird. Punk, MenaRD, Bigbird. He's all over the place. After his really strong Evo performance, people were looking for Bigbird to perform well. And what does Bigbird have to say about that? fuck, I'm not going to do well. There's power in being the underdog in these positions, and after seeing all these positive predictions in his favor, he's feeling the pressure for sure. But does that translate to the pressure in the matches? Well, his first match is up against Pugera, and here Pugera is on set point, 2-1 against Bigbird with his M Bison. Bigbird trying to make some offensive action happen here. Gets the throw into the corner. Overhead blocked by Pugera. Teched as well. Proper defensive plays. Gets the whiff punish, but no conversion, but finds the drive rush whiff punish on the whiff low forward. Sets up the safe jump. Can Pugera defend? Blocks appropriately. Gets the take throw as well after the plus frame barrage, and then walks forward. Finds the low forward confirmation into the drive rush cancel. 3-1 Pugera over Bigbird. And this was an upset, but Pugera was playing amazingly. I mean, he got all the way to the LCQ and got second place to Leshar, so he dominated an extremely stacked LCQ, almost as stacked as the main event itself. So he was showing that he was ready to play this week, and it also showed in this set. So Bigbird drops to the losers of this group, but he still has a chance to make it out to day 2, but he has to now go up against Moke. And Moke here, Chun-Li has historically been a character that Bigbird has shown to not like very much as Rashid. He always is one of the top players who recognizes how strong Chun-Li is and was. And here he is fighting maybe the best Chun-Li on the planet, especially after Leshar switched over to Ed. Moke on set point here. Fireball drive rush in for the plus frames. Find this the counter hit conversion. Now you're being pushed to the corner. Shimmy denied, but finds the counter poke low forward. The damage is racking up. Overhead connects. Bigbird wasn't ready for it. And then there's the level 3 conversion. Bigbird already taking the headphones off. Huge damage on that conversion. And Moke eliminates Bigbird, one of the favorites, the evil runner-up, 3-0, ending it all with a perfect. So what does the world have to say about that after Punk was eliminated, one of the favorites, the Evo champion, MenaRD, one of the most consistent players, another favorite to take it, and now Bigbird, the other guy that people were looking to potentially take this whole event? Well, what do they say? They say Justin Wong, he cursed them. Andy O right here, EWC, Curse of Justin Wong with the hieroglyphics. He called Punk, MenaRD, Bigbird, 3 of the favorites, and 3 of them all eliminated in group stages out of the Esports World Cup. As this group continued to, Gucci, who was kind of like a sleeper pick in this entire tournament, showed a really dominant performance with his Guile, 3-1 over Moke and 3-2 over Pugera to move out on as the number 1 seed in this group. Moke, he made the losers run after eliminating Bigbird and also took out Pugera, so really strong performance from him as well, showing that Chun-Li is still in the mix behind the controls of a really advanced pilot like Moke. And Pugera and Bigbird have been eliminated from the bracket. So with that said, day 2 completed. Players eliminated from phase 1: DCQ, Knuckledew, VX Bow, Tokido, Oil King, Bigbird, Nephew, Pugera, all out of there. But we have players who are moving on: Hikaru, Chris Wong, Kawano, Tachikawa, Leshar, Bonchan, Higuchi, and Moke, all moving on. And there's something interesting about this, is that most of the players starting to move on are pretty much all Japanese. We look at the groups for the phase 2 that are now set. Group A: Gachikun, Dual Kevin, Angry Bird, Kakadu. This group is absurd. Dual Kevin has been making a historic run. He's thrown to the Sharks right now. Gachikun and Angry Bird and Kakadu, 3rd place at Capcom Cup in Gachikun. Angry Bird, Evo 2023 champion. And Kakadu, the Gamers 8, the previous event champion. And the grand finals was Angry Bird, Kakadu. They're all in one group with Dual Kevin. Absurd. Group B: Noah the Prodigy, also doing it big for USA. Problem X, Xiaohai, Ryokichi. Group C: Hikaru, Moke, Kawano, and Bonchan, an all Japanese group. And Group D: Leshar, Tachikawa, Higuchi, Chris Wong. Just absolutely monstrous groups right now. And the vast majority of them Japanese. So Japan is definitely back to play. But with the 3 favorites eliminated from this tournament in Punk, MenaRD, Bigbird, the discourse had to start. Tweets like the following were definitely going around on Twitter, and people were debating. Punk, Evo champ, 0-2. MenaRD, 2 times Capcom Cup, Evo Japan, Red Bull Kumite champion, 0-2. Bigbird, DreamHack Summer, Evo 2nd, 0-2. Really consistent game. And different variations of this sort of take were floating around on Twitter and on YouTube. And, I have some thoughts on that. Street Fighter 6, it might have upped the volatility a bit from Street Fighter 5, from endgame Street Fighter 5. It's a very offensive game. you are forced to either exert your own offense to force gamble situations or have to deal with your opponent exerting those options. And it's very difficult to compete at the highest level. However, I think we need to remember who beat these people. First of all, let's take a look back at who eliminated Bigbird. Moke. If you've seen Moke, you've known that for years that he is of the world-class caliber. 2017 Evo Top 8 in Street Fighter V. He's the man who eliminated Punk from Capcom Cup in 2017, his most dominant year ever. Big Top 8 at Capcom Cup and Street Fighter 6 as well. He's won major events in Japan. He's also placed really consistently in offline events around the world. He was considered potentially top 5 in Japan in Season 1 and is now bouncing back in Season 2. Also top DBFZ competitor as well, multiple fighting game champion in Moke. And then, of course, Pugera, who's been doing this for an extremely long time. I think he kind of found his groove in Street Fighter 6, more so with N. Bison releasing, getting second place in the Esports World Cup LCQ, which is almost as stacked, if not equal or more so than the actual main event. That LCQ was disgusting. He only lost to Leshar there at the very end of the LCQ. Street Fighter V, he was potentially the best Japanese player near the end of Street Fighter V, besides Kawano's reign at the very end. So just a really consistent fighting game player for a very long time. So I don't understand where the confusion is about Pugera or Moke potentially taking a single set over a player like Bigbird. Meanwhile, for MenaRD, losing to Dual Kevin, I would admit that this is maybe the biggest upset, but people don't understand that Dual Kevin has been on the come up in the world of Street Fighter for so long. He's had legendary runs in Street Fighter V, taking out top Japanese competition, placing top 8 at majors like CEO offline. In Street Fighter 6, he got second at, Frosty Fostings, losing only to Punk after resetting the bracket in an extremely close set. He's done really well in the Midwest World Warrior. He's been in Capcom Cup, got out of his groups at Capcom Cup to make top 16 at Capcom Cup in Street Fighter 6. He's not any stranger to high-level competition. An MVCI god dominating this game for its short lifespan, winning multiple majors in this game, and a UMVC3 champion as well, top 4 Evo finisher in UMVC3 as well. He is no stranger to high-level competition. It is not unusual for a player like that to get big wins. And then, of course, also, Zhen beating MenaRD. How is that an upset? This is the guy who has consistently beat MenaRD ever since their encounter at the Capcom Cup 9, the final Capcom Cup for Street Fighter V, where Zhen obliterated the planet through the LCQ and obliterated everyone in the Capcom Cup aside from MenaRD, who took him out in grand finals. Since then, Zhen has consistently beaten MenaRD. The whole point of the beef they had is because Zhen double jeopardied MenaRD at DreamHack Dallas. If anything, Zhen eliminating MenaRD or beating him in tournament again at this tournament just shows the consistency. He's 3-0 against MenaRD in Street Fighter 6. To me, that's the definition of consistency. So I'm a little confused about where that narrative is coming from. Meanwhile, Punk losing to NL, I would say that Punk would be favored over pretty much anyone on the planet. Favored, yes, but NL, listen, this guy he got 4th place at Capcom Cup X, far outplacing both MenaRD, Bigbird, and Punk, right? He outplaced all these people at the biggest tournament of the year in Capcom Cup X in Street Fighter 6. Consistently one of the highest placing fighting game players in Street Fighter for years. One of the best Street Fighter 5 players of all time. And don't even get me started on KOF 98. This man will beat your ass at any Evo Japan, Evo side tournament in KOF 98. So NL is a top tier caliber player. He's not a random fighting game player. He can definitely compete with the best of the best and has for years. And then Ryukichi, I think, is the new kid on the block. He has the most inconsistent results, I would say, of these caliber of players. However, 4th place at Evo Japan, one of the most stacked tournaments of all time for Street Fighter 6, losing only to Kakudu and MenaRD, and beating world-class competition to get to that position, and winning other major online events in Japan, consistently placing in Topanga League, getting top 8 at that amongst stacked Japanese competition, placing the World Warrior events. He's a bit newer. His resume is a bit lighter than other players in this list, but he's proven to be among the best of the best. So I think we got to remember, if you're in the Esports World Cup, you are one of the best players on the planet. Is Street Fighter 6 maybe slightly more volatile right now? I would argue so. I think the mechanics are pretty explosive, and I think the damage is very high, and therefore, if players are near in caliber, which these are all top-level players, it depends on who plays best in that day. I do think there's an element of that. However, I think we're losing the forest for the trees here. Remember, we're watching the best players on the planet give it their all to put on a show for us to entertain us and to compete for high stakes. And sometimes players who are favored play poorly, and players who are underdogs play better. And that's, I think, as simple as it goes. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this recap, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.